I've never been so disrespected in my entire life. Hey guys, it's Maggie, and today I am finally doing my video on Infinity War. So if you guys follow me on Twitter, you would know that I am a huge Marvel fan. Huge Marvel fan. It's like my second favorite besides Harry Potter. Well, no, Harry Potter is like its own separate thing. But like, Marvel has been a part of my life for almost 11 years. So basically since Iron Man 1, I saw it in theaters at the age of 11, and it ruined my existence for an 11-year-old. Only because of the way Iron Man 1 ends, which I will say now that this is gonna have spoilers for like the entire Marvel franchise. So if you haven't seen anything, especially if you haven't seen Infinity War, please leave, but you can come back later, of course, and we can discuss everything in the comments like we always do. So yeah, firstly, to show how much I love Marvel, I got this one recently, my Black Panther Ultimate Guide. I haven't actually made my way completely through the whole thing yet, because I still obviously want to go through this. I've only seen Black Panther once. I'm gonna see it more times. But my Marvel Encyclopedia, which I have tagged every character in Infinity War that I knew of when I did this, and their origin movie / their first appearance, and the year. I will be referencing this encyclopedia quite a bit as we talk about this. So, Infinity War came out pretty much a month ago today, probably a little bit later since I watched this movie, and opening weekend I saw it 3 times because I have no self-control. So I went Thursday night at like 10:30 p.m. And then I saw it again Friday night with different friends who, every time I went with someone different, it was their first time seeing it. So like the second time I went was my friend's first time seeing it, but that was when I really needed to watch it because the first time I was just screaming the whole time. The third time is when I actually got it because I was just a mess, and also I probably should have waited longer. But because I saw it 3 times back to back, I was able to make a cohesive list of things to talk about. I tried to keep it, as I was writing these up, which I wrote just before. I probably should have written these notes earlier, but I wrote them like today. I was listening to the score on Spotify in order to like, because I do really well with movie scores to like remember things, to like keep things going, which really helped. But I think I went a little out of order at the end, but you know what? Oh well, we're gonna just jump into it. So if I look this way, because I have my laptop here with 12 pages of notes, it's double spaced, so it's technically like 6 pages, but I'm gonna try to keep it brief. Yeah, so let's just jump right into this and talk about Infinity War. We start the movie off with Thor and Loki. Thor is basically being held captive, and Hulk is there, obviously. Hulk tries to fight Thanos off right away, which doesn't work because, you know, it's Thanos. And this is the first time we see something or someone that beats Hulk. Usually Hulk, it's like rock, paper, scissors, like rock beats scissors, like Hulk always beats the person. Nope, not this time. So that's already when I was like, uh-oh, that's not good. Hulk gets sent right off in the little rainbow transport thingy, which I don't know the name of, nor do I remember the name of the dude who sent him, who ends up getting killed for it, which was not cool. So Hulk gets sent right off, so he's gone, and Loki decides that he's gonna try to outsmart Thanos, which doesn't work. And this is the first major death. Actually, no, second death, because the other dude got killed. But this is like the first major death. Loki dies like 5 minutes into this movie, and the first time I saw it, I literally was like, they did not just do that. They did not kill Loki 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, like 4 minutes into the movie. That was just rude. That was just, okay, that was just not cool. Not only did we not get the dramatic superhero music when the Marvel logo comes on, or the funny music when the Marvel logo comes on, I'm pretty sure it was silent if I remember correctly. That's already an indicator that things are gonna be bad. But Loki couldn't outsmart Thanos. Loki is the literal god of mischief. This is his thing. This is what he does. He couldn't do it. So I was already like, crap, this is not good. He also died in front of Thor, and then you go into Thor laying, like he gets out of his chains and he's laying on Loki, and it's just like, oh my god. I mean, I personally don't think Loki's dead because it's Loki, but a lot of people are like, no, this is it, like he actually died for real this time. I really don't think so. Maybe it's because I'm in denial because of all the deaths in this movie, but I refuse to accept it. We move into Hulk shooting his way down into Earth, and he crash lands in Doctor Strange's like mansion magical place, and his line right when he enters is like he's coming or Thanos is coming or something like that, and then it transitions right into the Infinity War like logo with the dramatic music, and that I was like, wow, that was a perfect like cinematography choice for the Russo brothers to do. And I think Strange says something like who or like what, like comedy gold. Like this movie, as serious as it is, and like it's 10 years up to this making, it's still hilarious. And then we transition to Tony and Pepper in the park, and they're being all cute and they're talking about going to dinner and like their marriage, and then Tony talks about this dream that he had where they have a kid, and this just completely foreshadows to later in the movie because Tony obviously sees Peter Parker, our little Spider-Man, our lovely adorable Tom Holland, who I love more than life itself, who basically like he like really treats Peter as like a son. And so this saying that he wants a child and Pepper doesn't want to bring a baby into this world, like given everything in the situation because of the arc reactor, which she doesn't really have anymore, but it's just now it's like the way to get the suit going when he needs it. And it's hilarious because he's like, no, like no more surprises, this isn't gonna happen. And then Strange just pops out of a portal and he's like, hey Tony, you gotta come with me. And Tony's like, ah, crap. The music in this scene, I'm gonna talk about the music a lot. It's done by Alan Silvestri, who does a lot. He did Little Mermaid even, which is like my favorite, but he's done a lot of the Marvel movies. And the music in this scene is just so cute, beautiful, and happy. And like when Strange comes in, it just transitions into this darkness, and it was like, oh. This line was in the trailer, but he's like, tell me his name again, and it was like so deep and serious. And Tony's really just like, okay, we've really been preparing for this since 2012.
The Spider-Man Homecoming will say otherwise because they messed up the timeline.
They're always saying like, oh, we need Steve Rogers, and Banner's just like, perfect, let's just give him a call. And Tony's like, it's not like that anymore, we kind of broke up. And then Bruce is like, we broke up? Like a band? Or like, I forgot the exact line, but it was hilariously so innocent because Banner has been the Hulk for 2 straight years, as seen in Thor Ragnarok. And so like, he doesn't know anything. He's been in the Hulk state, which is like a completely different person. So he doesn't know anything that's happened. They think they have a little bit of time until like Thanos gets there and ruins the world, but no, his children, which are weird, just show right up. And so the best part is they're giving this like dramatic speech monologue. Tony's like, I'm sorry, Earth is closed today. Go home, Squidward, which was like comedy gold. Truly Tony Stark one-liner gold. The whole sequence throughout this movie where Hulk is just like not having it. He's like, I'm not dealing with this. This is your problem, not mine. And Banner's like, we really do not have time for this. But this whole dynamic between Hulk and Banner, it's kind of the first time you really see them as 2 separate people. I mean, Banner always refers to Hulk as like a separate entity, but like I always refer to them as like the same thing. Nope, they're completely separated at this point now. And so that was an interesting dynamic to see. And then Tony being like, dude, you're embarrassing me in front of the wizards. The new suit, the new Iron Man suit, I think it's Mark 37, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I could check in this thing, though I doubt it's gonna be like, I doubt it's gonna say anything. But Marvel's Cinematic Universe is going completely off of the like comics. Like they're actually a little different because according to the comics, Steve dies in Age of Ultron, which did not happen. So, you know, whatever. Or what am I talking about? The new suit. It's so cool how it just like appears onto his body, and it's like not even like the flying parts, which I thought the Mark V was really cool, which was the suitcase suit up of 2010 Iron Man 2. But this was even better. This is like my new suit, my new favorite suit, which I didn't think anything went past Mark V. Mark 37 does. Anything with Peter Parker is like my favorite. Like a Spider-Man Homecoming is like just a gem. He's like has his arm in front of him and the hair on his arm sticks up, which is his spidey sense is saying something's wrong, and he immediately sees the alien ship in the sky.
I'm pretty sure people have already seen it before him.
He's like, I need to like turn into Spider-Man and get out. And he turns to Ned and he's like, Ned, you gotta provide a distraction. And Ned's like, we're all gonna die. And I was like, that's the best you can come up with. I guarantee MJ was on that bus, so they didn't show her. I'm pretty sure she would have been on that bus. And like, Peter's not that slick. Like, he's really not good at covering up his Spider-Man. Like, it's Peter Parker, we all know that. And so I'm pretty sure MJ knows at this point. Also, it's been about 2 years since Homecoming, apparently, in the timeline. So they're about like 17 years old at this point. So, you know, she probably knows. And also, like, Peter's not that slick. Peter sees Strange being taken up into the spaceship because he gets captured. And Peter goes to follow, and then he can't breathe because it's climbing higher into the atmosphere, the Iron Spider. And this suit was so cool. And it just like immediately, like Peter's, like if this was the Iron Spider and this is Peter, it's just like boom, and it's just like molds into him, kind of like how the Mark 37 does on Tony. And he's like, Mr. Stark, it smells like a new car in here. Like Tony's like, okay, Friday, send him home. And Peter's like, oh, come on, like as he's like blown away off to go back home. But of course he doesn't, because he's like 17 and he's a kid and he wants to go into space, so he does. We transition to the Guardians of the Galaxy, and this transition was great in the theater because everyone knew it was Guardians as soon as like the music started playing, and like they're all singing and dancing, and Quill's like, hey, like, Groot, turn off your video game, I don't want to have to tell you again. And he's like, I am Groot. And everyone's like, oh, language. The Thor crash lands, literally, like if this is the spaceship, just crash lands, and Rocket's like, wipe it off, wipe it off. But they take Thor inside, who's like unconscious at this point, and everyone's like literally like drooling over Thor, except Quill. Quill doesn't get the gist of it. He's also jealous because Gamora is like super into Thor, which is hilarious. And Drax is like, no, this is a man. It's like a pirate had a baby with an angel. And I was literally, the entire theater was dying. I was cracking up. Only thing I was disappointed is that Rocket didn't meet like an actual raccoon on Earth. I want that in Avengers 4. Gamora has this whole perspective of talking about Thanos because she's his daughter, stepdaughter, whatever. He kidnaps her and raises her, basically, is what happened. How like Gamora thinks about Thanos was like really interesting, and it was a really interesting like thing that they added in, and I thought that they did a really good job with that. Okay, so then we transition over to Wanda and Vision, and all I'm gonna say about it is Wanda and Vision is disgusting and almost as bad as Bruce and Natasha. There you go. That's it. That's all I gotta say.
But
Can't forget Steve's entrance. Steve is so dramatic, and the music connecting to the first Avengers movie and the actual theme, literally perfect. The whole sequence was just done so well. Like Steve, Falcon, and Nat work together to save Wanda and Vision, who
it's their fault, they ran off, but whatever.
also, they never built it up. It just showed up and they were like, we've been in love for 2 years. I'm like, this, no. Steve's like, we're here to fight, and I'm way past asking for permission because Earth just lost its best defender. And I was like, wow. So then we get into like the first serious moment of the movie since the whole like tell me his name again scene. And that is when Peter and Gamora have this conversation about how Gamora knows information. It's later revealed it's the Soul Stone. And she like knows this information, and Thanos can't get it from her or he'll get another stone. And so she's like, you have to kill me if Thanos takes me. And Quill's just like, nah, like I'm not gonna do that. Peter Quill's like defense mechanism is joking around, which is like completely relatable because I totally do that too. Two of them plus Drax and Mantis, so everyone that didn't go with Thor, Rocket, and Groot, they go to get the reality stone from the Collector before Thanos has it, because who thought it was a good idea to give it to the Collector? That's just my first question. He successfully has the stone before they get there. Thanos is able to manipulate reality so that he doesn't die. It's like a hologram of him or something, and he's holding Gamora hostage. And this part was so dramatic. Like in the theater you could have heard a pin drop. It was so tense in the theater. She's telling Peter like, you have to kill me now, like you have no choice, you have to kill me. And it's just so dramatic when he's holding his like gun at her and he's like, I told you to go right. And like the way he said it, I was like, he like shoots her and it turns into bubbles because it's Thanos and he can destroy reality, and he just disappears and takes Gamora with him. When we go back over to Strange and Tony and Peter, who are now in space, and Peter just shows up and he's like, hey, remember when you said you didn't want me to tag along? And Tony's like, I don't want to hear it. But Peter keeps explaining and he's like, oh, now I gotta hear it. And then Peter's like, no, this is your fault, really. And Tony's like straight up about to smack him. I thought it was wonderful how Tony was listening to Peter's input and like kind of training him while they're in this like serious situation. So I thought that was really cool, that it wasn't just like, oh, ignoring him, although later on he does that. He's like, the adults are talking. But like that one sequence where Peter got to like make the decision was really like good, and I think it was a really good training aspect for Peter, but also like kind of a good thing on Tony's part. I don't remember if this is like right after in sequence, but Quill, Mantis, and Drax like come and invade because they think Thanos is on that ship, or like the Thanos' kids, and they end up attacking everyone. Quill's like, where is Gamora? And then Tony's like, who is Gamora? Then Drax is like, oh yeah, why is Gamora? And it's just like they're all like it's like that scene in The Office when it's like they're all holding like their finger guns at each other and they're just like dun, 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 dun. Literally that's the exact thing that was happening in the scene. And Tony's like, are you from Earth? And then Peter says something and he's like, I'm from Mississippi. And Tony's like, that is Earth. Switch over to Thor, Rocket, and Groot. I think it could be out of order at this point, but I'm just going in order of my notes. Thor's like, I mean, what could I lose? Like, he lost his brother, his mom, his dad at this point. And he's like, what more could I lose? And then Rocket's like, well, I could lose a lot. And then he literally loses everyone by the end of the movie. He's the only Guardian left. And it was just, I didn't even catch it until the second time I saw the movie, obviously. And the second time I saw it, when he says that line, I literally, like, pretty sure part of my heart broke, and it's still broken. They go meet this, like, giant dwarf on this star, which I don't remember the name of. Maybe that's Nowhere. That's not Nowhere. I don't remember where Nowhere is. Hang on. It's supposed to be on this page. So they go to this planet, and Thor's like, I need this, like, Thanos killing kind weapon, and they make a whole axe. And that was just like a really good dramatic sequence. I'll come back to that later. One question I really did have, and I'm really sorry if anyone here is like a super fan of Vision. I'm not a fan of Vision. I just kind of think he's a pointless character, to be honest. He's literally just not. I mean, Steve's all like, we don't trade lives. And I'm like, Steve, I understand that. But the universe is at stake. Just literally take the stone out of his head and kill him. And then Thanos didn't have the time stone at this point. He didn't have the time stone yet. So he probably couldn't have gone back. Although he probably could have. But I don't know. It just irritated me that they didn't do it right then and there. It's what gets them going to Wakanda. So like, okay. We go back over to Thanos, who took Gamora to where Nebula is. And he literally has Nebula, who's like mostly robot, like pulling her apart, like this kind of torture. And he like accesses her memories and shows where Gamora was telling Nebula, like, I know where the Soul Stone is. I forgot the name of the planet the Soul Stone is on. This is what the Infinity War page looks like, and it's amazing. I don't really remember anything. First of all, Red Skull is there, and I was like, didn't you die like 4 million movies ago in Captain America 1? No? Okay. Where you have to sacrifice a soul in order to get the stone, and he literally, Thanos just takes Gamora, tosses her right over the edge, and Gamora dies. It was unnecessary, it hurt me, and then we have already had that flashback of young Gamora and like how she learned to trust him through his manipulation, and I was like, this is just not, no, not a thing. No. It was painful, and I cried like a baby, and the music was just like in the falling sequence, and it was done so well. However, I have a theory about this in the Soul Stone, which I will make an Avengers theory video once I have my theories all out of my head and written down, which I don't have yet, and I also have to like watch the movie a million more times. So like probably later in the summer, like September, October, or even closer to Infinity War Part 2 / Untitled Avengers 4, we will have a theory video. Then we transition over to Wakanda. At least I think we do. That's where I transition in my notes. Their big entrance, and then Rhodey's like, you gotta bow to him, he's a king. And then T'Challa's like, we don't do that here. And it's like, Banner's just like, oh. Shuri outsmarting Banner was hilarious, but he was like, oh, we didn't think of that. And she was like, I'm sure you did the best you could. I was like,
What a queen.
go to the battle on Titan. And this stressed me out so much. Although, first of all, Tony is 100,000,000% done with the Guardians. But then Mantis is like, does he always do that? Referring to Strange. And Strange is having this like psychotic episode. And he's like, I saw 14 billion million something possibilities about this Thanos battle. And then Tony's like, great, how many do we win? And he's like, 1. Okay, it's fine, we're fine. It's better than 0, right? We're fine. They make this giant plan. Well, Quill comes up with this plan. And to keep Thanos in this like trance, by Mantis sits on his head, and then Peter like webs him up to hold him down. Everybody's holding on a different body part. And I'm like, really? That's what we came up with to destroy this guy who's trying to destroy the universe? But they're trying to get the gauntlet off, which is his hand thing, which they have at Disneyland, by the way, and I see people wearing it all the time, and it hurts me. At this point, he has everything but the Time Stone and the Mind Stone, so he's missing 2. And so he's there to get the Time Stone from Strange. Tony and Peter Parker are trying to get the gauntlet off, and then Mantis is like, he feels immense grief, and then Nebula's there at this point. Or Nebula, I forgot. Yes, Nebula meets them on Titan. He reveals that he had to kill Gamora, and Quill just loses his mind. And this was so emotional, but because he loses his mind and he doesn't keep it together like Tony tells him to, it falls apart, and then Thanos just starts attacking all of them, even though they almost had the gauntlet off. This battle and sequence of events, it was split in various scenes, but like I'm talking about it all together. But I was like on the edge of my seat, and I literally, throughout the last like 45 minutes of the movie, I was just sitting like that, like the whole time, like completely terrified. And then Tony gets stabbed. The entire theater had this huge gasp, and people were like screaming. I straight up jumped out of my seat, like my feet ended up on the seat, like I jumped. And I pretty sure I screamed, but everyone else around me was screaming, including my roommates, so it was fine. I literally thought that this was the end of Tony Stark, and I was like, they're not doing it this way. Like, no, 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 no. We're not doing this because it's not happening. And Strange spares him by giving Thanos the stone, which was super major character development because about like 20-30 minutes prior, when they were still in the spaceship, Strange was like, if it became between you, the kid, or the stone, I'm picking the stone. And he didn't. He picked Tony. And then that line where Tony's like, why'd you do that? And he's like, we're in the end game now. And I was like, okay. We go back over to Thor, or at least I'm going back over to Thor. And he's straight up holding this like star open to get his like axe power. And it like literally burns him. Like he's like charcoal at this point. And I forgot the dwarf's name, but he's like, he needs the handle. I need to find the handle. And they can't find the handle. So Groot, who's like tree, just like just elongates his arm and it wraps around the axe. And then he lifts it up and he takes his other root and just chops his arm off. I mean, it's Groot. He can make a million arms. And that's how he gets the handle. And so then that's how Thor gets his axe. So then we go back to Wakanda, and this is where everyone's lined up to fight because Shuri is gonna take the Mind Stone out of Vision's head without killing him, and then Wanda is gonna blast away the stone. That's their plan. It's a terrible plan, honestly. But Thanos' people have this like hyena, Lion King, Hunger Games mutt looking monsters. They just come out of the trees. And they're going around the force field because they know that Vision's back in the back. So they're like all lined up and Vision's back here. And they're trying to like surround them. And then Cap's like, how are we going to keep them in the front? And then T'Challa's like, easy, open the barrier. And I was like, okay, like that makes sense. It's probably because I don't like Vision. Hulk's now in this like Hulkbuster Iron Man outfit because he cannot become the Hulk. And he's like, Hulk, this is the last possible minute. And Hulk's like, no. And then I really wish that an after credit scene included the two of them at like couples counseling. Everyone's losing. Like these hyenas are like overpowering Wakanda, like they're losing. And Thor just shows up with his new little axe thing, lighting everyone on fire with the lightning. And the music, which was, it transitioned to the first Avengers music, like the first movie music, and I was just sitting there with so much happiness on my face, and I was like, finally, things are looking up. We're gonna be okay. We were not okay. It's just the scene where Bucky like picks up Rocket and is like, he has like the gun in one hand and Rocket, he's like, Bucky didn't even think about it, he just grabbed him and was like, this is a talking raccoon, but I'm gonna go for it. I mean, this is out of order, but Wanda and like the girl power trio like taking down when Wanda was gonna die, and she was like, you're gonna die all alone, and Natasha was like, psych, sign me up. My favorite line in the entire movie is they're all fighting these like hyena things, and Thor's like, oh, this is my friend Tree, and the camera pans over to Groot holding up this like hyena thing, and he's like, I am Groot. And then Steve's just like, I am Steve Rogers. Like they're in the middle of this giant battle, but Steve is respectful and he's like, I gotta introduce myself to this talking tree, guys. Thanos arrives in Wakanda and like the music gets quiet and like it's just quiet in the theater and it's quiet on the screen except for the rustling of the leaves when they realize he's coming, and I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Now, as much as I hated Wanda and Vision, and will always hate Wanda and Vision, this was such an emotional scene for her. Wanda had no choice but to literally burn the stone out of his head. And so she's like, I don't want to hurt you. And he's like, you won't hurt me. I just feel you. And I was like,
of course you do, because he's killing you, but whatever.
So this whole dramatic scene, the music, she's like sobbing, and then she does, and he dies. And then Thanos is like, oh, I understand what you're going through. And he just manipulates the time stone to get Vision to like build himself back up to life with the stone. And he just goes and just boom, takes the stone, puts it in his little hand thing, killing Vision again. Seriously, all that stress just for you to be like, thank you. Thor comes rushing in with his axe and he like stabs Thanos in the heart, and Thanos is like, you should have gone for the head, and then he snaps his fingers. Oh my god. Oh, he did it. He won. The villains never win in Marvel movies. That's like, it's a superhero movie. The heroes always win.
Sam, Bucky, T'Challa, Peter Quill, Drax, Mantis, Groot, Gamora, we already lost, Loki, Wanda, Doctor Strange, the other dude, I can't remember his name, Vision.
Everyone who's not an original Avenger, cut. If Clint Barton is not in Avengers 4, I'm unstanding this entire franchise. I'm assuming he's alive. I mean, we know Scott Lang survives because Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming out. Is Ant-Man and the Wasp happening pre-Infinity War, post-Infinity War, what? Because Captain Marvel, which I will talk about at the end, happens pre-Infinity War. Pre-Infinity War. It takes place in the 90s. There's only 2 movies between Avengers 3 and Avengers 4. That's never happened. It's always like 6 or 7. Nope, just 2. That's fine. I don't need the stress. Everyone's disintegrations, which, ouch. Like, Sam just disappears. Bucky, though. Bucky looks at Steve and he's like, Steve? And he just like, Steve turns and Bucky just disintegrates right in front of him. And I was like, excuse me. Steve Rogers just watched his best friend die twice now. That is rude. Give him a break. Also, what happened to Sharon? Why isn't Sharon Carter in this movie? That's just something I want to know. Did she survive? I don't know. The one that everyone's been talking about, because it's the one that ruined everyone, is Peter Parker's death. It's just, they're on Titan and everyone's disintegrating around him. Like, I think everyone's gone at this point except Peter Parker, or except Strange. He says, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. And I literally, this is the one that really got me. Also because Spider-Man's my favorite Avenger. But we know he's going to be saved because Spider-Man 2. And we all know most of them are going to come back probably, because a lot of them aren't original Avengers. Because a lot of people are speculating that the original Avengers are going to be killed off, which I'm just assuming nobody gets killed off. But his spidey senses tell him something's wrong. So he literally feels sick. He feels this death where everyone just disintegrates and disappears quickly. He feels it happening because of his spidey senses. So he's like, this is where we realize that he's 17, he's a kid, and he's crying. He's like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And then the movie ends with Thanos chilling on a porch, looking off into the world, and I was like, no. But the music at this sequence, when it transitions into the little violin, and it goes like quiet music into the credits. In Marvel movies, the credit scenes are always like super dramatic animations, like all the main actors get their little animations. This literally was a black screen and just the names fading on and disintegrating off. Oh, no, it was fading on and fading off, and then when it said Infinity War at the end, it disintegrated off, which was rude. And the credit music was just quiet, and then the little piano was like dun 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 da da da. It was like quiet, eerie piano, Haunted Mansion like. And then we're all thinking there's an after credits. Nope, we go right into the main like credits, because there's always the credits after the actors and then after everything else. We went right into everything else. My roommate's the one that came up with this one, so I'm not taking credit for this one. But it would have been so effective and so powerful if there was not a single after credit scene. Like, that would have been insane. But we still get an after credit scene at the end, and it's Nick Fury and Maria Hill, and I was like, yes, 2 idols, love them. They both disintegrate. Hill disintegrates first, and Fury's like freaking out, and he takes out this little ancient little computer gadget thingy, which kind of looks like a Kim Possible thing, presses this button, and then he disintegrates. And the camera goes down onto it, and it flashes the Captain Marvel logo, and everybody like flips out. So Captain Marvel's obviously playing a huge part in Avengers 4. However, her movie is happening, it premieres in March, I think, of 2019. And as far as I know, it takes place in the 90s pre-eye patch, so pre-Nick Fury's eye patch. It takes place in the 90s. So either the end of the movie is going to be related to Infinity War, kind of like how in Captain America 1, when they pull him, when he wakes up after the ice, it's going to be like that, or it's going to be the post-credit scene. So I don't really know.